Today you will learn about pressure belts. Understand? And classification of winds. What is pressure belt? The distribution of atmospheric pressure across the latitudes is termed global horizontal distribution of pressure. Its main feature is its zonal character known as pressure belts. Understand? Pressure belts of the earth. On the earth's surface, there are 7 pressure belts are there. There are equatorial low pressure belt, the low subtropical highs, and the 2 subpolar lows, and the 2 polar high pressure belts. Understand? Except for the equatorial low pressure belt, the others from the matching pairs in the northern and southern hemispheres. There is a pattern of alternate high and low pressure belts over the earth. This is due to the spherical shape of the earth. Different parts of the earth are heated unequally. The equatorial region receives a greater amount of heat throughout the year. The warm air being light, the air at the equator rises due to high temperatures. It creates low pressure belt. Understand? At the poles, the cold, heavy air causes high pressure due to formed. It is also due to the rotation of the earth. In the subpolar region around latitudes 6 degrees to 65 degrees north and south of the equator, the rotation of the earth pushes up the bulk of the air towards the equator, creating a low pressure belt in this region. Understood? What is air pressure? The air around us is composed of gas molecules, means very thin particles. It is known as molecules. These molecules are constantly pushing each other or any object that comes their way. Understand? This effect, push effect, them exert together on any object is described as air pressure. Understand? Thus, air exerts pressure, means releases pressure, not only from the top but also from the bottom and the sides of the earth. Understand? The pressure of air increases if there are more molecules present. The pressure of the air increases. Understand? If it is less, the pressure of the air decreases. Right? So what do you understand here? More molecules, there will be exerting, pushing more. Understand? Actually, what happens here? What happens on the surface of the earth? The earth pulls most of the air molecules to its surface due to its gravitational pull, means gravitational force. Pulse means what? Force. However, due to heating of the earth means hot sunshine, due to heating of the earth's surface, some changes takes place at the time. What are the changes? When the air is heated up, it creates low pressure, means it is called less pressure or low pressure. How it is? Let us see here. When the gas molecules are heated up, they get a lot of energy and start moving very fast. Means what? They have to escape from the earth gravitational pull or force, because due to heating of air, it gets energy. Heating air gets energy. Then the air molecules, they wanted to escape from the gravitational force or pull only. When more molecules go to higher reaches of the atmosphere, the place near the earth has less of them. This means that less pushing around or less pressure. It is called as low pressure. Creates that low pressure. Understand? That's why geographer said when it gets hot, the air pressure becomes low, and when it becomes cool, air pressure increases. In similar terms, if one increases and the other decreases, this is also called as inverse relationship. Understood? When heated air increases, it starts losing the energy. How it can loses energy? In the form of heat, it lost energy. That comes from Earth's surface. When the energy decreases, the molecules slow down, becomes more sluggish. Sluggish means goes slow, more slowly, and get closer to the earth. Air becomes cooler and denser. This dense air starts falling back towards the earth's surface due to the gravity or gravitational pull. Understand? Whenever this cool air descends, air pressure also increases. Right? Already we learnt that when any part of the earth heats up and it causes itself, creates that low pressure, causes low pressure. Understood? It means that there is more vacant space and less molecules. Now air from other parts of the earth where the pressure is higher move towards the vacant place. Understand? Similarly, you can understand that the air means the wind flow from high pressure areas to low pressure areas. Understand? The water also, you can see that the water move from highland areas to lowland areas. Same principle you can apply to wind also. Understand it is right. What is atmosphere? The weight of a column of air contained in a unit area from the mean sea level to the top of the atmosphere is called atmospheric pressure. అంటే దీన్నే మనం వాతావరణ పీడనము అని చెప్పొచ్చు. వాతావరణంలో గాలి యొక్క బరువును అంటే సాంద్రతని పీడనమని అంటారు. వాతావరణంలో భూమి మీద గాలి యొక్క బరువు తక్కువగా ఉంటే దాన్ని అల్పపీడనమని, గాలికి బరువు ఎక్కువగా ఉంటే దాన్ని అధిక పీడనమని అంటాము. ఓకే, మరి దీన్ని ఎలా మెజర్ చేస్తాము? The atmospheric pressure is measured by the means of an instrument called barometer. అంటే బారోమీటర్ ద్వారా మనం మెజర్ చేస్తాం. ఏ యూనిట్స్లో మెజర్ చేస్తాం? The units used by meteorologists for the purpose are called millibars. Understand? Millibars యూనిట్లో మెజర్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. Already we discussed about that low pressure and high pressure, how it creates. ఆల్రెడీ మనం చెప్పుకోవడం జరిగింది. ఇది అల్పపీడనము, దీన్నే మనం లో ప్రెజర్ అని చెప్పవచ్చు. జనరలీ డ్యూరింగ్ దట్ సమ్మర్ సీజన్లో అంటే వేసవికాలంలో సూర్యకిరణాలు అనేవి నెట్ట నిలువుగా పడడం వలన ముందుగా భూమి వేడెక్కుతూ ఉంది. అంటే ఎర్త్ సర్ఫేస్ అనేది హీట్ ఎక్కుతుంది. ఆ తర్వాత అక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి ఎయిర్ కూడా వేడికి వ్యాకోచించి పైకి తేలికైన తర్వాత పైకి వెళ్తుంది. సో అక్కడ వేకెంట్ ప్లేస్ అనేది ఏర్పడుతుంది, అంటే ఖాళీ అనేది ఏర్పడుతుంది. సో ఆ ప్రాంతంలో దాన్ని మనం అల్పపీడనం అని చెప్పవచ్చు. దీన్ని అక్కడ అల్పపీడనం ఏర్పడింది అని చెప్పవచ్చు. అంటే లో ప్రెజర్ అనేది అక్కడ క్రియేట్ అయింది. ఓకేనా? అయితే భూభాగాలు వేడెక్కినప్పుడు సముద్రాలు వేడెక్కినప్పుడు అల్పపీడనాలు ఏర్పడతాయి. అండర్స్టాండ్? ఇదే బలపడి సముద్రాల మీద వాయుగుండాలు తుఫాన్లుగా మారుతాయి, అంటే సైక్లోన్స్గా మారడం జరుగుతూ ఉంది. ఓకే, సో మీరు ఎప్పుడు చూడండి మన ఇండియాకి చూసుకున్నట్లయితే ఎంటైర్ ఎక్కువగా సైక్లోన్స్ అనేది ఎక్కడ ఫామ్ అవుతాయి? బే ఆఫ్ బెంగాల్లో ఫామ్ అవడం జరుగుతుంది. ఓకే, సో బే ఆఫ్ బెంగాల్ కానీ లేదంటే అరేబియన్ సీ, మోస్ట్లీ ఇన్ బే ఆఫ్ బెంగాల్ ఓన్లీ. అండర్స్టాండ్? మరి ఇక్కడ హై ప్రెజర్ అంటే ఏంటో చూద్దాం. హై ప్రెజర్ జనరల్ ఇన్ ద వింటర్ సీజన్. ఓకే, ఇన్ దట్ వింటర్ సీజన్ హౌ ద సన్షైన్, వింటర్ సీజన్లో సూర్యకిరణాలు అనేవి ఏటవాలుగా పడడం వలన భూభాగాలు చల్లబడి గాలి బరువెక్కి సంకోచించి కిందకు దిగి అధిక పీడనం అనేది ఏర్పడుతుంది. అండర్స్టాండ్ ఇట్ ఈస్. భూభాగాలు చల్లబడినప్పుడు సముద్రాల మీద అధిక పీడనం అనేది ఏర్పడతాయి. ఇవి నిరంతరంగా సముద్రాలు చల్లబడి ఉంటే తీర ప్రాంతాల్లో ఎడారులు అనేవి ఏర్పడతాయి. ఓకే, దీన్నే మనం ఈ డిఫరెన్స్ని అంటే ప్రెజర్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ద డిఫరెన్స్ ఇన్ ద అట్మాస్ఫిరిక్ కండిషన్స్. అండర్స్టాండ్? అంటే పీడనానికి ఉష్ణోగ్రతకు గల సంబంధం ఏంటంటే విలోమ సంబంధం అని చెప్పవచ్చు మనం. అంటే ఇఫ్ ద టెంపరేచర్ ఈజ్ మోర్ ద అట్మాస్ఫిరిక్ ప్రెజర్ ఈజ్ లెస్, అంటే లో ప్రెజర్. సిమిలర్లీ if the temperature is low, the atmospheric pressure is high, means high pressure. అర్థమవుతుందా? అంటే దీన్నే మనం అల్పపీడనము అధిక పీడనము అంటాం. లో ప్రెజరు హై ప్రెజర్ని చెప్పవచ్చు. లో ప్రెజర్ ఉన్నప్పుడు మనకి ఎక్కువగా రైన్ఫాల్ ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటాయి, సైక్లోన్స్ రైన్ఫాల్స్ అనేవి. అలాగే హై ప్రెజర్లో అయితే హాట్ వెదర్ కండిషన్స్. ఓకే, రైట్. Now, equatorial low pressure belts. You can see this. The low pressure belt extends from 0 to 5 degrees north and south of the equator due to the vertical rays of the sun here. Means intense heating. There is a intense heating, more temperature. The air therefore expands and raises as convection current, causing low pressure to develop here. The low pressure belt is also called as doldrums because it is a zone of total calm without any breeze. What is breeze? It moves at a slow pace and we feel comfortable in it. It's called breeze. Understand? If the wind comes in a short and fast, if the wind comes in a short and fast burst, we call it gust. If it moves very fast and blows things around, we call it storm. Understand? Generally, storm means related to cyclonic storms. Mostly you can see in Andhra Pradesh coast, we experience cyclones which are very high speed winds, mostly in the coastal areas. Understand? Winds are moving all over the world. At the equator, the high temperature heats up the atmosphere and the hot air rises, creating that low pressure at the Earth's surface around this equator. This low pressure belt is called as equatorial low pressure belt or intertropical convergence zone. Understand? It's called as ITCZ. ITCZ. It is also known as doldrums. Okay? Right. Now, we will learn about subtropical high pressure belts. What are the subtropical high pressure belts? About 30 degrees north and south of equator lies the area where the ascending equatorial air currents descends that. This area is thus an area of high pressure. It is also called as horse latitudes. The winds always blow from the high pressure areas to low pressure. You already learnt that. So the winds from subtropical region blow toward the equator as trade winds, and another winds blow towards subpolar low pressure belts as a westerlies. Next one is circumpolar low pressure belts. These belts located between 6 degrees to 70 degrees in each hemisphere, means northern and southern hemisphere, known as circumpolar low pressure belts. The subtropical region, the descending air gets dividing into two parts. One part blows towards the equatorial pressure belts, the other part blows towards the circumpolar low pressure belts. This zone is marked by ascent of warm subtropical air over cold polar air blowing from poles. Due to the Earth's rotation, the winds surrounding the polar region blow towards the equator. The centrifugal force operating in the region creates the low pressure belt, appropriately called circumpolar low pressure belt. This region is marked by violent storms in the winter. Next one, polar high pressure belts. At the north and south poles, between 70 degrees to 90 degrees, north and south, the high temperatures are always extremely low. The cold descending air gives rise to high pressure over the poles. These areas of polar high pressure are known as the polar highs or high pressure. These regions are characterized by permanent ice caps, shifting of pressure belts. If the earth had not been inclined towards the sun, the pressure belts as described above would have been as they are, but it is not so because the earth is inclined 23.5 degrees towards the sun. Understand? You can see the globe, you can understand that. On account of this inclination, differences in heating of continents, oceans and pressure conditions in January and July vary greatly. January represents winter season and July summer season in the northern hemisphere. Opposite conditions happened in the southern hemisphere. When the sun is overhead on the Tropic of Cancer, 21st June, the pressure belt shifted 5 degrees northward, and when it shines vertically overhead on Tropic of Capricorn, this is 22nd December, they shift 5 degrees southward from their original position. The shifting of pressure belts causes seasonal changes in the climate, especially between latitudes 30 degrees and 40 degrees in both hemispheres. In this region, the Mediterranean type of climate is experienced because of the shifting of permanent belts southwards and northwards with the overhead position on the sun. Understand?
From November until February, the southern hemisphere faces the sun. It receives direct sun rays and experiences summer. It's winter in the northern hemisphere in these months. The sun's apparent movement is restricted between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn.
What is its implication on India? Observe the seasons changing as the sun moves between the tropics.
Rays don't fall vertically all over the Earth. The equatorial region receives maximum radiation. Due to high temperature, the air becomes hot. This hot air rises up in the atmosphere. A low-pressure belt is created in this region. It is called the equatorial low-pressure belt. It is present between 5 degree north latitude and 5 degree south latitude. In the atmosphere, the temperature decrease low-pressure belt becomes cool and heavy. Then it sinks down between 30 to 35 degrees latitudes on both the hemispheres. This creates high-pressure areas. These are called subtropical high-pressure belts. The Earth spins on its own axis at a great speed. This results in an interesting phenomenon. The wind from around 60 to 65 degrees latitudes on both the hemispheres is blown towards the equator. Low-pressure areas are created in these regions. They are called the subpolar low-pressure belts. The polar regions never receive direct sun rays. These regions are extremely cold and the wind is heavy. Naturally, high-pressure areas exist in the polar regions. They are called polar high-pressure belts. Wind always moves from high-pressure area to low-pressure area. This means the equatorial low-pressure belt attracts wind from the subtropical high-pressure belts. The subpolar low-pressure belts attract wind from the subtropical high-pressure belt and the polar high-pressure belts.
మరిన్ని వీడియోస్ కోసం మా ఛానల్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేయండి, షేర్ చేయండి, అండ్ ఫైనల్లీ క్లిక్ ఆన్ ది బెల్ ఐకాన్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.